Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting Starcraft 2 broadcast. I am Anaris, and let me just say today I have a very sexy treat for you. It's my cat with no pants. That's right, my cat is actually sitting here watching me cast, sitting beside me, watching the screen even. So he is going to be learning something today from our two players. Now let's talk about who they are. We have a Protoss and a Zerg. AriA, the Zerg, spawning in the 6 o'clock position, facing off against EG.HUK up in the 12, so we have cross spawns on Mutalisk. Now, this was reintroduced into the ladder as of Season 4, something that I'm very happy about. I enjoy this map a lot. It's been around since beta, and it's just kind of one that I've come to associate with well, I mean, Starcraft 2 in general. I don't feel like it would be laddering without Mutalisk. Season 3 was very awkward for me. So, moving forward in today's matchup, I just want to say another reason I'm excited is nice checking for the Overlord by EG.HUK. EG.HUK, excuse me, I don't think I'll ever actually get over that. No, seriously though, I'm glad that he was able to find a team that he feels is right for him. So let's talk about why this is so darn special. Well, today is my birthday. This cast was actually sent to me as kind of a birthday present because the person that sent it to me knows that I love watching Protoss and I love PvZ. Just spoiler, it's one of my, if not my most favorite matchup just to watch. Playing, different story entirely. Hate it. But watching it with pros, top tier players like we have here today, just so enjoyable. So let's actually pay attention to the game and see what makes this so darn thrilling. As I gotta say, I'm really anticipating a wonderful matchup. Now, this person down here, we all know who HUK is. He's been around for ages. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much in depth about that. But this person, AriA, not a lot that I could find on him. There was apparently some rumors that this person might be a pro Brood War player in disguise, kind of like a transformer, but maybe not quite so much a robot, or maybe so. Let's check the APM. 147 to 97, current, riding about 200. Well, you can definitely tell he is on top of the larva, I'll say that much. But overall, I'm not too sure who this guy is. Maybe it's a Smurf account, maybe it's a Brood War player. I'm sure time will tell. You know, at some point it's probably going to come out, and when it does, I'll put it in the video description whenever I find out that information. So let's pay attention to what we're going to see with the openers now. We do have the Zerg player going ahead, metabolic boost early. Notice how he dropped the spawning pool first and then went for that gas, getting a little bit of extra mining time with the minerals. That's going to help out with the expansion, which is now going down. We have HUK up here, opening up very standard-like 2 gas. I'm really going to be looking to see what he's going to be going with that second geyser, of course. Most likely, sentries. This is a very cheap unit in terms of mineral cost, and it will allow him to get an expansion up just a little bit sooner. I'm sure he's going to be getting that in the coming moments. Watching his mineral count right now, we see he's floating around 300, okay, 200, back down there for probably another century. Yep. So that's just pretty typical. You know, he probably would have kept this probe down here, but those Zerglings running around making it a little bit difficult, so we're probably going to see that back down and drop that expansion. Now that he's at 400 minerals, rather. Warp gate technology about 3/4 complete. Everything's looking fine up here. Now keep in mind, while those Zerglings are harassing and HUK is dealing with that, he's also got this probe that he's microing around. Trying to keep an eye on this expansion over here, seeing if any drones head up that way. Checking, I spotted that Overlord, so he knows if he wants to do any sort of early attack, probably coming in here, not the best decision. But, you know, something like as simple as that is very important. If you can kind of identify where those starting Overlords are, you know, the Zerg might not move them in the early game. And so you can kind of know where the Zerg has that information. And if you want to do any sort of additional scouting, early attack, you'll know the paths that you can and cannot take. 2 additional gateways going down, maybe something else, as we do have a nice and fresh Artosis pylon. I'm sure he'll drop down another 1 or 2. But another gateway going down now, and bringing it to a total of 4, and looking around, still mining the double gas, not really doing anything other than just dropping down those sentries. We do see that is on cooldown from having placed yet another one down here at the natural. And with this expansion complete, we have a nice probe transfer. I mean, he's just been building those up the entire time, constantly keeping that Nexus chronode. Back down here at the Zerg base, we see likewise his expansion is very saturated. We're going to wait and see when he caps that gas. You notice how he is going into Tier 2 right now. Extractor on the way at the main. Roach Warren as well. He does have weapons 1 with ranged attacks, and ooh, double gas, nice. So he's going to be going into tier 2 in a very strong position. He's going to have the option of doing something like mutas, or he could go for Roach pressure. The fact that he's got that Roach Warren complete kind of tells me we're probably going to be seeing some type of Roach pressure, either at the natural or possibly to deny a third over here or over here. Either way, I think it'll be a good idea to get those units out. If nothing else, then just light harassment / defense, because, you know, HUK does have these 4 gateways, and the Overlord scouting those out is going to kind of give the Zerg player an idea of what he's up against. But looking around right now, still no clear indication other than the robotics facility of what tech route he's going to be going. You know, he could just be getting an observer or 2, place him around the map, and never use this robotics facility again. Kind of depends on what he's facing up against here. You know, of course, if those roaches come out, he will be in a great position to throw down some immortals. Maybe even going straight to Colossi if he feels he has that opportunity and the window to do so. Although more than likely that's not going to happen. You know, you don't want to tip your hand too early with those. Colossi, very, very finicky unit when it comes to when it's good to use that. You know, you don't want to drop one Colossus and have it sitting around in your defenses too early, because that's just going to give the Zerg plenty of time to build up a huge counter to it. But likewise, you know, if you can time them in the right time, you know, attack the Zerg, deal a lot of damage, kind of weaken them, both players weaken a little bit, and then come back strong with a few Colossi, it's really going to hurt the Zerg player because he's a little bit less likely to have a counter for it. So it all comes down to timing and the particular matchup. But losing the Overseer, there goes 150 minerals, 50 gas total. And of course the Observer is going to come around here as well. Now notice how HUK is opting for his own 3rd expansion. And I don't think he actually knows that the Zerg player has his own up yet. Let's take a look here real quick. Oh no, he spotted it. He spotted it when it first went down. So dropping his own expansion up here, very good idea. Now notice how there's also a Spire on the way. And we have several Roaches moving out with a +1 attack upgrade. +1 armor is on the way as well. We could just compare the army size right now and see 104 to 79. Pretty decently close for minerals. See a pretty big gap there for gas. Obviously, I mean, sentries there. That's more than making up for that. And I do like the wall off that HUK is going for here. But the Roaches are going to be coming in just in the nick of time to come down and bust one gateway. Looks like it is not canceled. That one was canceled, though, so the loss of 2 structures so far. Wow! Look at those force fields, ladies and gentlemen. That is just phenomenal play right there. A little bit of an overlapping one, but by and large, that is just a great placement for HUK. That's really going to help him out, but you see there's still a few Roaches that have survived, including one that's trying to do some type of dance. I don't know, maybe Michael Jackson, maybe something based on him / her, but no, I'm just kidding. Don't kill me for that. I had to say it. But, you know, still, that was a pretty effective attack. You know, it did delay those 2 gateways, which is going to probably keep the Protoss in down here or back up here a little bit longer because he's not going to be able to get that production up quite yet. And overall, for AriA, he definitely did a lot of damage. So let's actually take a look and see. As far as resources are lost, they're neck and neck. Look at how close that actually is. Income right now, Zerg has almost double his opponent, yet 68 to 51, so Protoss is going to be getting that space going. We're going to see this adjust upwards for HUK in here just a couple minutes or so, and obviously the gas is going to be doing the same thing. Now the mutas are making their way over towards the right side of the map, and we see Roaches and Zerglings as well. So we could actually see our Zerg player, AriA, go for some type of possible multi-pronged attack, whether he sends units over here, and possibly the Muta harassment up here at the main base where we see HUK is not ready for. Going to be losing a lot of probes, folks. Let's just watch the count go up 15, 16, 17 to 0. Oh man, the count would be proud. All the while, we see the Zerg unit still just kind of hanging out here as the Mutas continue to harass, managing to pick off a few Stalkers, working out very well for the Zerg player, having completely denied mining on this base for about 20 seconds, even more now. The probes are finally transferring back. We look at the resources lost now. You can just kind of get an idea the gap that's been created between the 2 players. Armor 1 on the way. I think Weapons 1's already complete. Yep, sure enough, it is. And as far as the Zerg army goes, with the unit composition, just kind of give you an idea, still focusing on the Roachlings as well as continued production of the Mutalisk. But notice how he's also got another expansion over here. So while this harassment continues to pressure the main, continues to pressure what looks like possibly an attack on the natural, which fortunately for HUK is spotted, our Zerg player is just going to go ahead, take advantage of this opportunity while HUK is over defending his base. Nice blink, able to catch a lot of those mutas off guard. And looking down here, we see the Zerg player once again actually coming down here. The reason he did this is because HUK has a warp prism parked down in the bottom left side of the map. The Overlord spots it. And I think HUK's line of thinking here is that if he can keep the Zerg player's main force out of his base and in the Zerg's area for as long as possible, the sacrificing of this warp prism will be worth it. Because you got to think, what is HUK able to do in this amount of time? Well, he's got 3 Archons now. We take a look at his warp gates. They are able to warp in more units, but he's still running kind of low on money. Look at AriA's money right now. 1,400 minerals just kind of floating right now. He's been maxed out for a little while. Well, not quite maxed out, but it's close enough. And, you know, HUK is just trying to do anything he can as he is currently fighting a 60 supply deficit. So that amount of time that HUK bought by simply threatening to do a drop away from HUK's or the Zerg's forward position was really, really smart. So here we go, folks. Massive attack going down. Force fields have blocked a lot of those Roaches that are being funneled in position while the Mutas are trying to come over into the mineral line. Very sexy blink by HUK as he moves forward, dealing with a lot of those Mutas, taking about half of those out. So many Roaches over here as the Immortal launches attacks from afar, doing plenty of damage. Will these Roaches actually be able to mop it up? No, I do not think so. I think between this Immortal and those Stalkers should be able to wrap that up. Especially since all of those Stalkers are still sitting around up there, having driven the Mutalisk away, which appear to be floating around in this area of the map. Whoa, what an attack, folks. Let's look at the resources lost now. You see that actually tipped up in the favor of the Protoss. But as I've said in previous games, resources lost by itself is not indicative of one player winning or losing. You know, it can be, you know, a symptom, but it's not always a result. So, or an indicator. So let's look back down here at AriA as he's going to be going once again for an attack, maybe combining the Mutas and the Roaches and Zerglings into one pierce into the natural expansion. But what's going to be waiting for him now? We see that looking around here, we have a nice wall off as he does head towards the center. Again, HUK, very smart positioning on this observer. I like it a lot. Looking around here, we have nice retreat position for HUK as he's going to be trying to come back and use the structure to his advantage, try to minimize the amount of damage that can actually be done by the Zerglings and the Roaches at any one time to the army, while the Mutalisk continue to do a decent amount of damage, trying to stay away from that Archon. You know, that splash damage, very small radius, but it also can be absolutely devastating to a tightly packed ball of Mutalisks. So far, the income now for both players has evened out. We see around 2K or so for both. Also, gas looking very nice. Oh, Greater Spire on the way. We also have an infestation pit. Haven't seen any infestors so far. I think, judging by what the Protoss army has, infestors with some fungal could be a good thing, but he's going to have to be very careful because these High Templar, you know, now that they're on the field, they're going to start building up energy. Feedback would not be that difficult for him. So Zerg is actually coming over here and going to be trying to do any sort of damage he could do in the outskirts, but he is aware of the fact that there's a very large quantity of Stalkers running around between the two bases. So far, one thing we haven't seen too much of, other than the initial engagement, was pressure down here at the third base, and this has really kind of helped HUK a ton. The fact that he has been able to keep his army relatively close to his natural means that he can reinforce very quickly between the main and the natural there. And of course, with this wide ramp, he's also able to very rapidly assist in defense. Now, he could be looking to take this expansion, just scouting it out right now, making sure there's no Zerglings waiting for a probe. And up here, AriA does have good coverage, good map control with those Overlords. We actually just take a look at his vision real quick. Oh, Baneling time, folks. We're going to have a little Bane Rain here on the next engagement. But notice how AriA has 2/3 the map completely exposed. So he does know this expansion is coming, and HUK looks like he's going to be moving, and he's going to be expecting an attack. So he's going to be very careful with these High Templar, as it looks like they actually might just be bypassing the forces entirely. Could he get these units? Oh, man. Baneling's actually wasted on the Stalkers there. Just a few of them exploding. Those very much could have been used, possibly. Oh, here we go with the Baneling reps. Great storms on top of the Roaches, but here comes the Overlords, going to be doing their drops. HUK managing to come over here, allowing the Immortals to absorb the bulk of that damage, not actually taking too much from the Banelings, coming out with enough Stalkers to drive away the Mutos, but here come the Roaches. They're going to be having a completely different story to tell here, as they are hoping to press the Protoss player back and try to do some economic damage. You know, the past couple attacks, the Zerg player has not been able to do significant probe damage compared to the first one. You know, when we saw that it was around 71 to 49 there, that was a solid attack. Also, that expansion, the third base around that time, was just starting to get saturated. So overall, I think that HUK was in a little bit of a weaker position at that point in time when that attack came. But since then, we haven't seen too much. You know, this expansion, not seeing any Zerglings run up to it right now. We do have 19 Banelings on the way. I'm going to be looking to see if he tries to drop any Banelings in the mineral line. Of course, up here, pretty empty. Also, this one as well. You see, these probes are nice and spread out. So up here, it could be fairly effective, but again, with all these cannons around, it could be a risky endeavor for AriA to try to press something like that. So he's going to be trying to continue to engage, but notice how he hasn't actually used his Greater Spire yet. He's just keeping that in his arsenal, and also we have a Warp Prism on the way. We could be going for another delay tactic, as HUK right now sitting on 148 compared to 198 as the Zerg player moves forward, this time bringing in Festers into the group. He could be looking to do some fungals, keep those Stalkers from blinking around, really limiting their mobility. Will we have that today, folks? The Mutos are going to be finished up this time. The Roach is coming as well. Nice storm on top of the Roaches. Oh, very sexy indeed. 2 High Templar sacrifice. Could have been made into an Archon to absorb some of that damage. Not going to happen, though, as HUK, oh man, look at his army right now. 56 Zerglings on the way. We see this is continuing to drop down as he is still in a 70 supply deficit. Will he be able to recover? Oh man, this is just an intense matchup, folks. I am not even sure if HUK is going to be able to come back from this. But like I said, we've got plenty of time left here for HUK to press back, and I don't know, man. We're going to wait and see. Keeping an eye on the clock. I did see that the game was, you know, about a 45-minute game or so. Of course, you can see that in the actual video link. But as far as who wins, I have not watched it yet, so I'm sure we're just going to continue on with this fight with more Zerglings this time coming as well. Oh, very nice blink, allowing the HUK to use the terrain to his advantage. As we see, I think one infested Terran pop in there. I think all the infestors have actually been killed. No, nope, one left. I'm sure if he had any energy, he would try to fungal that. Keep those Stalkers from running around as the Zerglings try to get a decent surround on it. Again, HUK with great micro, using that top 3 control right there. Looking at the income while all this goes on, 71 to 55. Resources lost, still neck and neck between the two players. Having lost this expansion, that's going to hurt his mineral income, but not by that much. He didn't really have a lot of probes there. It's really going to be more about the gas than anything. You see those are about full, about 800 or so in terms of quantity of gas. The high yield expansion has been claimed by the Zerg player, so he is going to get a fantastic boost to his economy in the next couple minutes. We're going to really see him just rebound super quick from each engagement, but he did a great job that time taking out HUK's army, and we'll see if he's going to be able to follow it up with anything. He really didn't do too much with the infrastructure. I think he knocked out a couple key buildings. I think he got the Templar archives that time as well. Yes, he's having to rebuild that, but looking around, we do have Observer continue to run around the map, second one as well, and of course the Zerg just running around, keeping his hands warm pretty much at this point, as we don't have any warp prisms. Actually, not exactly sure what happened to the one that was building us some time ago. It probably ended up either dying or going over to attack and try to counter while we were dealing with that massive attack in the main base. So I'll try to keep an eye out for that, maybe post an annotation at the end of the video. But for now, HUK is just moving around. Now notice, even though the fact that he knows he is at a pretty big supply deficit, has been for some time, he is still continuing to try to deny the Zerg any advantage that he may have, and that includes map control. Knocking out these Overlords is going to kind of put the Zerg in a little bit of a disadvantage in terms of knowing when expansions were going down, etc., knowing where the army is. So having lost that information, we might see Zerg try to just move in for the kill here at some point in the near future. I did see a Broodlord or two. Let me see where they actually at right now. Okay, there they are, right there. Let's just look at the unit composition super quick as we watch Protoss continue to just kind of sit back passively, basically anticipating any attacks, making sure he can clear out some Overlords. We see a whole slew of units for the Zerg player right now, and oh, I guess that Warp Prism is still alive. I'm not exactly sure where it's at. I'm not going to go into where's the Warp Prism hunt. Oh, we spotted it! We spotted it! Yes! We can now end this game now. GG, folks. That's it. We found the War Prism. We're out by. But, no, seriously, having scouted that out, oh, I think we actually had a Baneling in there. Try to hit it. If that Baneling had actually hit that probe line right there, that would have been an absolute massacre. But notice how the Warp Prism coming in here now, going to be looking to see if he can catch any drones off guard. We, of course, can spot that there are several spine crawlers here just waiting for an attack. No? Okay, well, I guess that Warp Prism was just going to be yet another temporary diversion, but the Zerg isn't going to be going for it, man. The Warp Prism does head back to base. Oh, the Side Storm landing right there, doing a lot of damage as the Zerglings are just running into it, feeding HUK a lot of Zergling kills. But the Broodlords going to be knocking out those gateways. That's really what AriA needs to be doing at this point, is just knocking out the infrastructure. He has had a lead for quite some time, but never been able to quite capitalize on it. So will he be able to do that now? Looking at HUK's unit composition, you'll see there's still about 40 supply difference between the two players. But as far as upgrades go, nice feedback on the Infestor there. We see these Broodlords are actually going to get taken out by the Stalkers. Their blink is coming up here in just a second. We'll probably see HUK try to go in for the kill. There we go. Down to 2, 1, and 0. Unit composition now. 25 Roaches, 12 Stalkers, 2 Archons, 3 Immortals. Those Immortals are just mopping up, folks. 2-2 on the Roaches, 3 attack on the Immortal. That equals a victory. Now notice down here, Warp Prism coming in for HUK with several Zealots being warped in, trying to take advantage of the fact that he knows his opponent just lost his whole army and will be reinforcing. So basically this attack moving forward will keep the Zerg player delayed in his base just a little bit longer and really helping out HUK, who is still trying to get his economy going. While it looks like his probes up here have transferred, some of them around here and a couple of them right here as well. But as far as income right now, 78 to 54, there's a bunch of those probes right there. So let's see, what is that actually building right there? We have a Stargate coming on the way. So could we actually have, going to the late game, I'm really wondering if he's going to be trying to get a Mothership or if he's going to try to get maybe just Phoenix. I mean, really, any of the units could be useful at this point. Probably Void Ray having the least effectiveness because it's a little bit late to be trying to go for map control with those. He could pop up a couple of Overlords, but, you know, Phoenix can do the same thing. Run around, be much quicker, harass the mineral line, lift up workers, lift up stray units, etc., all while keeping the supply count down. So having lost the Forge, actually, one of them managed to stay alive. And nice storms once again by HUK as he is managing to hold his ground here at the high ground. Very nice blink indeed. Good unit to let tank some of that damage. Immortal, of course, that hardened shield reducing any damage to 10. But we have 8 Ultralisks this time coming, folks. Now, is that the wisest choice to be going for compared to what the Protoss has right now? Let's look at that for just a second. Where HUK, oh, nice, another attack coming in here real quick. We'll just focus on this while that's going on. Where HUK has been trying to engage for the most part has been using terrain to his advantage, or structures, or a combination of both. Ultras, very bulky units, very difficult to get in there. And Stalkers also, when they're tucked nice and tight away, you know, if he attacks to attack like right here, for example, with Ultras, be very, very, well, not wise move, very unwise. You know, he could suffer very heavy casualties, but if he can engage with another unit, oh, very nice. You know, if he can keep those Stalkers from running around, get the Ultra drops. Oh, AriA, that's just sneaky, man. He's gonna be hoping to come up here and maybe just do a ton of damage to the infrastructure for HUK. As here we go. We have the Zerg player moving out right now. Overlords bringing several Banelings over here. This time could be going for the mineral line. Oh, just barely high-fiving the Warp Prism, which is heading down. Oh, no, excuse me. Those were Roaches. Complete faux pas on my part. But watching this multi-pronged attack, we're going to see the Ultras and the Banelings come into the mineral line. But what's waiting for him there? 7 probes. Not that big of a deal. So yeah, good idea just to park those Banelings, keep those away from the fight. You don't want to have those exploding on warp gates or anything else. And yeah, now that he's moving forward here, he's going to be very careful with those Ultras. Like I was saying before, you don't want to engage a Protoss in a position like this where he can just really abuse the terrain. Uh-oh, going to be head now. He's going to be able to knock out that Archon. Very, very expensive unit right there. 2 High Templar and time invested. Those Ultras dropping like rocks, man. I'm telling you, when you got a bunch of Immortals running around, Stalkers that can blink away, you know, you're going to see that those Ultras just melt. With a Mothership about 3/4 of the way complete, I think HUK is really just staying in this game, making a comeback in a big way, folks. Zerg, on the other hand, you know, he's done a good job in the early to mid game, keeping pressure on his opponent, but he hasn't been able to wrap it up. He cannot seal the deal here, and he's going to be coming over here with these Roaches, just scouting out. He's going to spot that fleet beacon. Actually, does he spot that? Very close. Oh, just barely. But I want you to compare the map control now. See how it's overall just kind of fallen back by about 10-20% there. And if he actually had a couple more Roaches there, he could have lifted those up and popped off a couple of those High Templar. Mothership has arrived. Oh, this game just got even more intense, as if it was even possible. 14 Broodlords on the way. Whew. More Corruptors as well. This is, man, I'll tell you what a birthday present. I feel good about this. Starting off the day right, man. Whew. Even got my cat who's sitting here watching the game. He's actually been watching the screen for about 2 or 3 minutes now. I move the mouse around and he's just like, what's that? What's that? What's going on here? But I think he's learned not to swat at the screen. That has earned him some negative attention. So AriA moving in once again, possibly hoping to score another expansion kill. The position of these Broodlords, great. There's not a lot that Protoss can do about this. If he plays very passively and keeps these Broodlords nice and tucked away, like, you know, oh, okay, the Stalkers come in, move him back here, then back forward again, then I think he's made a good spot. But now he's moving over the ledge, and we're going to be kind of careful here as the Protoss is going to be looking to move forward, this time with the Mothership throwing down a Vortex. All of the Zerg units coming in. Oh my god! This could not end well for the Zerg. All of those Archons being so close. Yes, the Archon turret was nerfed to have a 1.5-second delay, but now those Archons are going to do so much splash damage. Sunstorm landing. Oh my god, all of those units just dying in 2 seconds. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. EG.HUK managed to score a 50 supply lead now after the perfect toilet here today on Metalopolis, and now he's going to be pressing forward with these Zealots, not even stopping. You see Hegel, okay, there was a stop there. Way to make me look like a fool. But oh my god, this is just incredible, folks. I cannot believe how HUK has managed to hold on for so long. We have another Mothership on the way, also known as another ship. As the Zerglings coming and reinforcing, trying to hold this expansion, which we see is not taking damage just yet. But so many Zerglings, oh my god. HUK bringing in tons of Zealots this time as well. Folks, I have to say, this is just, this game is incredible. Nothing short of outstanding. HUK has managed to come back here, gain the supply advantage, now back down 121 to 88. As we see 6 Ultralisks on the way. But this time, bringing in Void Rays. Zerg really does not have a lot in the way of anti-air right now. Actually, doesn't have anything, I don't believe. No, none whatsoever. So I think that Void Ray now at this point would be incredibly powerful. We look at the money situation we see right now, having taken this high yield expansion. Moving forward in the game, the Zerg player, having spent so much money at this point, is just really at a disadvantage because his side of the map is running out of funds. His best hope here is to try to deny mining at this high yield expansion, keep the Protoss player from basically having the last say in the economic battle. And will HUK be able to maintain this? Will he hold his ground as these Ultras continue to push forward here? We see the Void Rays doing damage to those Overseers while the Ultras come in from behind. Stalkers trying to be microed as well, dealing a lot of damage to those Zerglings. Here's some Corruptors, though, as the Mothership is somewhere in the field. Not even sure where at this point. It is going to be floating in at some point, but a High Templar coming in. Not going to be able to do too much damage against these, but does manage to feed back one unit, take that out. And now we're going to have the Protoss again mop up at the high yield. 2 Ultras, though, fresh off the grill. Lots of hit points. Excuse me, still going to be going down throats, getting a little out of whack from this game, man. Let me just tell you, this Void Ray is just so happy with itself. Just hanging out, floating above all these units. None of them can tilt their head up and fire. And AriA just, he has just got to step back for a second and figure out a way to handle this. Because you look at the income right now, Protoss, even without the high yield, is just sitting in a commanding lead for actual income. All these drones are just mining off of 2 patches. And this is it. This is all the Zerg player is going to have to work with right here. So he's going to be going in for what could be the final push, ladies and gentlemen. It all comes down to this, whether or not he decides to attack now or a couple minutes from now. Probably smarter just to go now because he knows the Protoss is going to be able to build up so much here with all this extra money floating around that has yet to be mined. Knowing he have a slight supply advantage, or slight supply lead. All these spine crawlers, I'll call them the sunken colonies there. All these spine crawlers hanging out very close. He could even bring the queens, keeping them all up, tightly packed position there. And now we are in quite possibly the quietest moment of the game. Here, we'll just wait. Shh. Isn't it pretty? The mothership. All right, so now moving forward, we are going to have an all-in right here. This is it, folks. Queens coming in and everything. Spine crawlers taking the high ground. Nice Overlord spreading the creep everywhere. Oh no, another vortex there as the spine crawler is actually burrowing itself in. He is vortex commander right there. Oh my god. This is incredible, folks. AriA, the Zerg coming out of nowhere, giving HUK a fantastic run for his money. Can he actually hold on, though? It could come down to this. The Zerg player has so much stuff here, but the Protoss has a lot of Archons that are cloaked right now. There is no detection, so they're just running around trying to attack anything they can, and HUK manages to clean it up. There's the GG from AriA, bringing one hell of a birthday present to an exciting conclusion. Oh my god. Tear in my eye right now. That was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That was incredible. I hope you have a fantastic evening, morning, whatever it is for you. And I will see you in the next video. And of course, if you like it, you can always subscribe, help me out. It'd be a birthday present. Yeah, that's my shameless excuse. You want to give me a birthday present? Subscribe to my channel. All right, see you in the next video.